Hi everybody, hey friends, I'm back and I'm making this video again about the same topic that I made a video on last year at the same time, almost at the New Year time, and it was worth say about $2 something at that time, and the highest value it went to was some $16, and I said it's a 6x potential, so I consider that as a win, even though now it's back at some $10 something, not so bad still, but I feel it still has a lot of room to grow, and we'll go through that, and we'll take help of these most popular chatbots in doing these stock analysis. We'll use ChatGPT, we will use Gemini, Grok, and Perplexity. So stay with me. We'll do that. But before that, let's go through some of the tweets and some of the interviews that people directly related to this topic have given. Very positive um, tweets and interviews. So we all know about Bill Ackman. He has been a strong advocate of this since a long time, right? Um, he has held the position since more than a decade now, I think, or at least a decade, I guess, um, where he has been saying that these companies should be privatized and should be run like business. Um, and Trump tried to do that in his previous run when he was president in his previous term, towards the end of the term, right? Where Mnuchin was working on it, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin was working on it, but it did not go through. So Biden came and then it did not move at all. But now it's looking real, it's gaining traction. People who are directly related to this have said some positive things that we will cover. So these are the four chatbots we will use, and we have a specific prompt that we've come up with that will show you, and we'll paste the same prompt in all of those four chatbots and see which one does well. Now, some of the tweets that have come from administration. It all started with this one, Donald J. Trump saying, I'm giving very serious consideration to bringing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac public. I will be speaking to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and Director of Federal Housing and Finance Agency William Pulte, among others, and will be making a decision in the near future. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are doing very well, throwing off a lot of cash, and the time would seem to be right. Stay tuned. Then he puts this on his Truth Social, where he's saying that we'll be doing an IPO, pretty much ringing the bell of New York Stock Exchange and MAGA listed NYSE. And then if you notice at the upper corner, left corner, it says November 2025, which did not happen. And these things take time. We understand. Government was shut down for more than a month as well. Um, and maybe they are taking more deliberate approach at it, right? Bessent has said that we cannot risk taking certain steps here. We don't want to increase the mortgage rate for people. And hence, maybe it's a two-step process where they uplist or relist Fannie Mae Freddie Mac to NYSE first, and then maybe later have an IPO or second offering. Right? So that's the latest on this. Then not only Donald Trump did this, put this on his social, Pulte actually retweeted it and then said Trump seems to confirm 2025 timing for Fannie Mae Freddie Mac IPO. Then some teasing happening here, calling Joe Biden Sleepy Joe on ice cream break and Fannie Mae Freddie Mac in the trash can there, whereas Trump converting them into a really powerful asset of worth $1 trillion. And then Pulte with this particular tweet saying, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, US FinTech, all three coming together. Get it yet? US housing. Um, so there are probably plans to combine them all, but they're probably going to have a step-by-step approach instead of combining all of a sudden. Who knows? Maybe they do this. And then Bessent, who is the most deliberate person on this? Who is most risk averse? He said, we are looking for a range of institutional investors who will be long-term holders. Um, but we also want American people and small shareholders to have a stake in these companies, Fannie and Freddie too. We want them to be part of the American dream, which is very positive for people like you and me. Then Pulte putting one more very positive tweet saying, combined Freddie and Fannie have over 7 trillion of assets on their balance sheets. We are focused on running them like business and taking our costs out. So I don't think there is any limit to what they could be worth one day. Or long-term play, obviously. Hand of God. Yeah, special shout out to this handle, Hand of God, Twitter handle, Tyler Ehan. Um, where he has created such a nice video compiling all the positive things people have said, people who are directly related to this topic have said about Fannie Mae Freddie Mac. And we know what we are holding. That's a very powerful thing to say. A powerful thing to say. So yeah, I would recommend you guys to check that video out on Twitter. Now, a little bit of a refresher before we go into the prompt that I have created to ask these chatbots. We know there are four different categories of shares. There are warrants, not categories of share, but these are the four concepts, let's say, and we'll talk about these four in a bit. So there are warrants, there is senior preferred shares, there is junior preferred shares, and then there are common shares. Now, warrants, we know government owns 80% of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac common shares, and they will exercise these warrants to do this. Then senior preferred shares are something that is basically the bailout that happened in 2008 crisis. Government paid $187.5 billion to save these two companies, but they have paid back $301 billion, which covers more than covers for the bailout and the interest that it would have cost. So all those are covered. Next is junior preferred shares. Now, junior preferred shares are to be paid at par value, and they cost about 30 to 35 billion. And then the fourth category is Fannie Mae Freddie Mac common shares for people like you and me. So now let's talk about the prompt. So here is the prompt that we will be typing in all the four AI chatbots. We'll say, consider a scenario where Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are merged to form a company that is valued at $1 trillion. Assume government exercises its warrants. This will increase common shares from 1.808 billion to 9.04 billion shares. And assume junior preferred are paid at par at 35 billion. Now we will ask it to calculate price per share for the merged entity in following scenarios. 1. Senior preferred shares are cancelled. 2. Senior preferred shares dilute common shares. Assume 300 billion value for preferred shares for this scenario. And then show me the scenarios and the price per share for the merged entity all in one summary table. That's our prompt. With these chatbots, you have to be very specific with the prompts. I have tweaked it so many times because some of the chatbots were not even understanding the question. So this is the final prompt, very clear, very literal. You have to be very literal with the chatbots. Otherwise, they would just sometimes understand it differently. So this is the prompt that I have come to after like 3 or 4 tweaks that I've made to the wording of it. Once they come back with the result, then we will say, now run the same analysis, but with valuation of the merged entity at $600 billion instead of 1 trillion. So that's our prompt. Let's get started with how it performs on various chatbots. Okay, we are back. Here we have 4 chatbots, Google Gemini, ChatGPT, then we have Grok, and then we have Perplexity, right? All 4, we have put exactly the same prompt that we just went over. Now let's see the analysis, let's see the output that these generate. Gemini, uh, clearly understanding the question, and then scenario 1, scenario 2, it's explaining, doing some calculations, and this is the final output in a table, starting with 1 trillion dollars evaluation, 35 billion for junior preferred paid off, senior preferred 0 in one case, and 300 billion in other case. Residual for commons is 965 because you subtract 35 here. In this case, you subtract 35 and 300 to reach 665. And the total shares is 9.04 billion still. And the output is your $106.75 if the preferred is 0. If preferred is cancelled, senior preferreds are cancelled. If senior preferreds are not cancelled, then it comes down to $73.56. So that's Gemini. ChatGPT takes a slightly different approach, is what I've seen. Exact same prompt, um, but what it does is it has starts with 1 trillion. So I'm going to the table directly. It shows the calculations above. Junior preferred 35 billion, cancelled in senior preferred 300 billion value in second scenario. Instead of reducing 300 billion from 1 trillion, what it is doing is it's increasing the share count instead by 2 billion shares based on 106 value. And then it comes down to 56 instead of 70, something in 70s. So still pretty good, still 5x of where it is right now. And if more likely scenario, which is senior preferred shares are canceled because of net worth sweep that happened, these companies have already paid back 301 or maybe even more $1 billion to the government, but that has not been accounted for. So most likely scenario would be one in which it goes to three digits, 100 plus. But if it doesn't, if government gets greedy, if they still want to pay, if they still want to convert senior preferred, still it is $56, which is 5x from now, right? Gemini, on the other hand, is saying 73. ChatGPT is saying 56 in that scenario. And let's say what Grok says. Grok is not as verbose as the other two AI chatbots. It's starting with the table, which I love, and then explaining that table a little bit. So in this case, also Grok also is somewhere near to Gemini's estimates, 110 price per share, and then 77 when if the senior preferreds also convert, right? Dilute the value. So let's go to Perplexity. Oh, very verbose, a lot of verbiage there, and then finally a table, and then even more notes and caveats there. Now, they also say for the two scenarios, 106.74 and 77.49, right? So three chatbots are very close to each other. So Google Gemini, Grok, and Perplexity have the same output, whereas ChatGPT takes slightly different approach, but still very high in both the scenarios. Um, so yeah, that's the output. Let's see what actually happens. Hopefully it happens in Q1 of next year. And good luck. Please do your due diligence. This is just my knowledge, what I know, and what ChatGPT and Gemini and all these chatbots know. Yeah. Thank you very much. See you next time.